During the Dreamforce Women's Innovative Panel in San Francisco, it turns out that Gayle King asked a few questions that upset other females in the audience. Now, she was speaking to very powerful women, including Jessica Alba, who now has a multi-million-dollar company, and she was also speaking to the female CEO of YouTube, a woman by the name of Susan Wojcicki. Now, during the interview, or during this panel discussion, it turns out that a lot of time was dedicated or devoted to questions about these women's personal lives, right? They have families. What is it like to be a mom? What is it like to juggle your career while being a mother? What is it like to child rear? All of that stuff. Child rear is a very strange phrase, and I apologize for using it. But nonetheless, people are upset about this, including one journalist by the name of Lauren Hawkinson. So now we're going to discuss her argument and whether or not we agree with her criticisms of Gayle King. Now, according to Gayle King, questions by Gayle King. She said, Susan, you know something about babies.
Susan, you know something about babies.
This is what I love about Susan. She has 5 children. At that point, according to what Lauren Hawkinson says, the CEO smiled and confirmed King's statement, then pressed. And then when she was pressed about it, she said that her eldest is turning 16 while her youngest is 8 months. And then Gayle King followed up with this question, by the same husband? Basically, she's asking her, did you get pregnant by the same guy, or were you having sex with multiple different people in your life and you got pregnant by multiple different people?
Or are you sort of slutty?
That question is unbelievable. Okay, so.
What I love about this, here's what I think happened to Gayle King. And Gayle King's, this is the smallest defense of Gayle King in the world. That's a question you might ask of a man, because a 16-year span, given the limitations for women's fertility, might be like, no, with my first wife, and then I got married again to a younger woman and had more kids.
Yeah.
Right? That's a pattern that we see in men sometimes. I mean, I don't know why you'd ask a guy that in the middle of an interview about their career, but well, of course you wouldn't. Nobody would ask that question of a guy. But I'm thinking, because like the only thing interesting about having a kid 16 years apart would be like you either started young, or then she would get into another inappropriate question and be like, did you take fertility treatments for the last kid?
It's fucking ridiculous.
Everything about it is fucked up.
So that specific question, I find ridiculous. It's none of her business whether or not all her children were conceived by the same guy. That is insane. That is insane. However, there's this whole drama about whether or not it's acceptable to ask female CEOs questions about their family lives. And I disagree with it to some extent, and I'll tell you why. So I think that women who are in powerful positions do something that's extremely admirable. A lot of them do juggle a family life and also their careers. And so I want to know how. Me, as someone who has not had children yet, am very interested to see how much having a child would hurt my own career. So asking that question once during a panel discussion like this is totally okay. Now, when you focus the entire panel discussion on these personal elements of these women's lives, then you're taking away from their other achievements. I also want to hear about their businesses. I want to hear what it's like to be a CEO. I want to hear how challenging it was to break through the glass ceiling. Those are things that are also very relevant. And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of these panel discussions don't delve into that enough. However, asking the question, how do you juggle a family life and your career, is totally fine. And the women that have a knee-jerk reaction to that, who have a visceral reaction to that, honestly need to calm down, because you're not a representative of all women out there, okay? I'm not a representative of all women out there, but again, I want to hear the answer to that question along with information about their careers and their success.
At the American, I think it was the American Film Institute, the AFI gave Steve Martin a Lifetime Achievement Award, and it was on TV, and because it was a Turner broadcast, I was there, and incredibly funny. I mean, Susan Silverman and Sarah Silverman, Susan Silverman.
Oh my God, damn, does she have a sister? Is she also famous?
I think her sister's name is Susan, by the way, but Susan Silverman was Spencer's girlfriend in the Spencer novels. Sarah Silverman, incredibly funny. Tina Fey, incredibly funny. Martin Short topped them somehow. I didn't think they could be topped. They were that funny. But Tina Fey, when she was talking, she was like, Steve Martin is this eclectic guy. And he's like, he's nearly, he's over 65 now, however old he is. And he just had his first kid. And she's like, you know, he plays the banjo with a real band, and he's a screenwriter, and he writes novels, and he writes plays, and he's an actor, and he's a director, and he's in Mensa, and he's one of America's leading art collectors. You know, and now at age 65, you know, he's just had his first kid. When does he find time to do it all? And she said, right, it sounds stupid when you say it about a guy, right?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, no one ever asks those questions of men, but look, in defense of those asking the questions to women and not men, the reality for a very long time has been that women are responsible for taking care of the kids and the man is responsible for going out there and earning money. That's why that question is very rarely asked to men. However, things are changing and men are becoming more and more active in raising kids, in taking part in the house duties. And so maybe that question will start to come up more and more for men as well. But one of the reasons why it hasn't is because men typically haven't been responsible for doing as much work toward raising kids as women have.
Right.
Again, things are changing, and I think that's a good thing. But the fact that women have to juggle both isn't something that we should hide away from and not address at all. I think, again, that's one of the most admirable things about female CEOs.
I guess it's just the manner in which, there just needs to be one, you need to start asking it of men sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, is it hard to be this busy and manage to have a family?
Yeah.
Like, that's all. It's not that, and you could say that to women too. We just know that there's judgment in it with the women.
Yeah.
Whereas a man who works his ass off and sees his kid for a couple of minutes at night when he's not traveling is thought to be, hey, he's working. That's he'll hang out with his kid every couple of Saturdays when he can, when he's not busy. A woman who does it, there is an inherent suggestion of, you've let your family down. Like your job here was to take care of your kids.
That's absolutely right.
So it is different. So you can't just start asking the men. They're just, but there is, that said, it is when you're talking about a woman like what's her name again? Susan Wojcicki. Do you know that her sister married Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google? Like that is a connected Silicon Valley family.
Yeah.
But you asked this woman, and by the way, all you had to do, Gayle, was look at Wikipedia. Same guy.
I know, and
same
that's
husband.
And that's another thing.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to host a panel like this, please, for the love of God, just do a little research ahead of time so you're not asking mundane, superficial questions. I mean, again, it's okay to ask how they juggle it all, but you ask it once and you move on. There are other important things to address.
But let's get back to the other thing, because asking them how they juggle it all, you just have to find a way of doing it, because again, you got to ask it. We got to start asking it without judgment. Like, she's allowed to have a high-powered job.
Yeah.
I mean, she went to Harvard, and then she got her MBA at some other significant place, and then another master's of business administration. And I don't know. Let me look it up. Let me just make sure I get it right. Harvard. Then she went to UC Santa Cruz for her MS, and then UC Anderson School of Business for her MBA. Like, she's a wildly accomplished woman, right? And now she's the head of YouTube, right? And one of the most powerful women in Silicon Valley. And you have to be able to say, you know, you have 5 kids. I can't imagine how you and your husband manage to have this seriously busy life and also have 5 kids, because we know that these jobs, we've seen from Steve Jobs, these jobs are all encompassing.
Yeah.
That's a challenge, right? And then I suppose that's even the way I asked it is a little laced with judgment.
No, it's not. No, it's not. The way you just walked on eggshells, that question is fine. That question's fine. Look, I'm a woman. I know what it's like to deal with sexist shit on a regular basis, especially on the internet, okay? And it is what it is. But it would never offend me to have someone ask, hey, you know, especially a young woman who's considering, you know, starting a career or starting a family and doesn't know whether or not they can do it. I have no problem with them asking me, is it possible? How do you do it? It's okay to ask. But it really, look, again, don't include the judgment, but the way you asked it had no judgment in it whatsoever.
Well, good. I also, we all know the answer frequently. I'm like, well, I am the CEO of YouTube. I make gazillions of dollars.
So I have like 28 nannies.
We have like a nanny for each kid.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard. Like, it pains me that I miss stuff sometimes because I'm busy working. But believe me, those kids are covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do. This is always an interesting question for me.